Puma just dropped a new model. Today we've got the Puma All Pro Nitro retailing for $130. But are they worth it? Let's find out.
That's three is off the mark. That was sensational.
Hence the number 2 projected NBA draft in the 2020.
Let's just be active, get out in the open court.
Oh, Sean, look at that. He can't guard him. I mean, he's just too big and too strong.
Welcome back to our channel. Today we're going to be putting this new Puma basketball shoe to the test by checking out the cushion, traction, support, and just everything that goes along with how they play. But first I'll go ahead and give you a quick rundown just on some of the basic info for this model. So I already gave you the price in the intro, but just in case, the All Pro Nitro retails for $130. And that is about as average as it gets whenever it comes to basketball shoes. Like pretty much all Puma models tend to sit in that like 120 to 140 range, it feels like. And that's definitely a good thing. And honestly, I like the way that this new model looks too. Like the All Pro and the model name throws me all the way back to the Puma Clyde All Pro model that came out years ago now. But that shoe is a beast. Something that's pretty sweet about this colorway though is that it's actually sort of a collab with the Portland Trail Blazers' new feature number 3 draft pick, Scoot Henderson. And this was like a long time in the making. Scoot's not like a lot, I guess you would say. He's not like a lot of these draft picks like LaMelo, Michael Porter Jr., Marvin Bagley, DeAndre Ayton. You know, all of those guys kind of signed after they got drafted. Scoot's actually been, you know, working with Puma over the last year or two now, kind of repping the brand in the NBA G League Ignite because he's been down there playing with them. So that's not all that relevant to this model, just some extra info for those that maybe want it. But it does give a little context just to some of the details or some of the spots on the shoe, like the 00 that shows up on the tongue. That's just for his actual number. The checkerboard design on the heel though goes crazy. I think that looks sick. And then the ODD is actually tied to Scoot's, I don't know what you want to call it, like his mindset. So it's not like odd, like the word odd. It's actually an acronym that stands for overly determined to dominate. And turn on some tape and watch him play. Dude is for sure out there dominating, but it's going to be pretty simple everywhere else. You get that standard Puma logo from the side with some All Pro text on the upper. You get kind of like a styrofoam look to this midsole, and it has kind of the same feel. Like, honestly, this is a really sweet model. I can't even really hide it anymore. So now let's just see how they hold up on the court. So now getting into more of the performance side, the first thing I'll hit on is the cushion. And Puma has been doing a great job at just making really comfortable models basically ever since I've been playing in them. And as for what's being used on the inside for this shoe, they actually include it as part of the model name, but these have some of Puma's signature Nitro cushioning, which is just an advanced nitrogen injected foam designed to provide superior responsiveness and cushioning all in a lightweight package. And like it's marked out on the midsole too, like I think that's really cool. And I just noticed that the end on the Nitro has like some flames coming off of it too. That's actually a really cool little detail. But one thing is, like right out of the gate, I knew that the cushion was going to be at least one of the highlights on this new model. Like I referenced it already with the look, but the feel is kind of going to line up with how this Clyde All Pro model was playing too, in my opinion. Like these have almost that memory foam type feel where your foot just, it's not necessarily sinking in, but you're still going to have some responsiveness, but the padding just like molds to your foot. And that's like going to be all the way around. I definitely like that. And this is like the next, I describe it as like the next mini tier underneath the Mellow Ball 2s, if you ask me. Like it's not quite as pillowy, but it's just a really nice feel. And then using our durometer to check out the midsole, these were reading at a 37.5. That's right about average whenever it comes to how firm, you know, the midsole is on most basketball shoes. But Puma's been releasing a bunch of shoes that have been having cushion that always seems to be in that at least like good to great tier. The All Pro Nitro is going to fall more on the side of great. Like this is one of the more comfortable shoes that I've played in this year, no doubt. So now we'll go ahead and take a closer look at some of the different materials that are being used before we touch on the support. And the All Pro Nitro has a few different pieces going on, like the upper is made out of this engineered mesh, and that's to help with breathability. The midsole is made out of this SQD foam though that, I said it earlier, it kind of looks and feels like that styrofoam, but Puma just isn't known for making the lightest shoes in general, but this is about the lightest shoe that I've played in with the size 10.5 weighing 426 grams. That's just a touch heavier than the Clyde All Pro model. That's actually the lightest shoe that I've played in from Puma. And I mean, this is the All Pro Nitro, so we've seen a ton of like some clear similarities between these shoes, but this is just going to be a lower cut shoe, kind of like that Clyde All Pro. And Puma is known for making, you know, more mid-top models that can tend to run up a little bit higher. That's why they end up weighing more a lot of the time. But now we'll go ahead and just switch gears to focus on the support, because that's a spot that the All Pro Nitro, it just pretty much plays as good as you need there just aren't a ton of support features to draw out. Like the first 3 laces here, they like run through a little bit of a loop. So if you tighten that up, you feel your foot, feel a little bit more secure in that spot. But I feel like there almost could have been one more lacing loop that they add around the backside of the ankle that I've seen before, because if you don't keep these super tight, you might notice a little bit of heel movement, but I mean, if you lace them up, you shouldn't really notice anything, because laterally you are going to be good to go. There's no movement to the upper there. It's not sliding around or anything like that. This is just a pretty sturdy model, and they're going to range on the lighter side, so I always like that. Wrapping it up with the traction, I mean, if someone could point me to a Puma basketball shoe from the last few years that doesn't have at least really good traction, I'm all ears. Most Puma basketball shoes have been killing it for this category, and the All Pro Nitro marches on. I called cushion a for sure highlight on the shoe. Normally different shoes will have at least, one spot that either is great or it just at least outshines all the other aspects because they're lacking. But traction is just going to be another highlight to go along with basically everything else on this shoe. Like, this is just a nice shoe, but traction is going to be top notch. Our squeak test on these had them making a ton of noise on the court, and the bite is just always there. I didn't even notice them collecting dust like to the same amount that some other basketball shoes do, and I'm a sucker for these translucent outsoles too. I just think they look so pretty. I mean, as far as outdoors, I wouldn't necessarily plan on doing that unless you're going to keep them out there. Then it would definitely work. But finishing off with the sizing, the length is going to be perfect. You get about a thumb's width left over, and somewhat narrow on the side, so keep an eye out for that if you want to switch up like a half size up or down. But overall, like, this is a basketball shoe right here, and it's Scoot Henderson themed, or it's like his collab. I know we kind of stopped talking about him after the intro, but he is going to be a dog. And after being signed with Puma for a few years already, it may not be long before we start seeing the Scoot ones float around, or whatever they end up calling his line. But it is going to have a hard time outperforming this debut model in the All Pro Nitro though. I just don't really see a weakness in sight. So are they worth the $130 retail price? Oh yeah. Thank you guys for taking some time to watch. Feel free to throw us a follow or a sub if you like this video. And if you're interested in buying these shoes and you want to support our channel, just click the link here on screen, or we have links down below or in our bio. Feel free to check that out. But until next review, I'm Landon from Shoewear. Peace.